I call to order the 1910 Conference of the League of Kansas Municipalities.
The League of Kansas Municipalities began with a humble gathering and a noble purpose. At the invitation of Dr. Richard R. Price from the University of Kansas, 48 city officials from 29 different cities gathered in May 1910 to form a statewide association of cities, the League of Kansas Municipalities. For the cities of Kansas and their residents, the results would be monumental. The early League years were shaped in large part by John G. Stutz, who took the helm as executive secretary of the organization in 1920. The nation struggled with the Great Depression throughout the 1930s. Stutz continued to enhance the scope of the League and expanded the monthly magazine, the Kansas Government Journal. The Kansas League also took center stage nationally when Stutz became founder and the first executive secretary of the American Municipal Association, the predecessor to what's now the National League of Cities. Membership soared to more than 500 cities by the time Stutz left in 1955. The League has had 4 headquarters over the century, but no matter where the offices were located, the founding principles have never changed: research, training, and advocacy. The burning issue discussed at conference after conference for decades was constitutional home rule for cities. In 1915, 1917, 1919, and 1929, proposals for home rule were introduced and killed in the Kansas legislature. The 1960s was a decade of social and political change. Vietnam raged, the U.S. landed on the moon, and John F. Kennedy defeated Richard Nixon to win the presidency. At the very same election, the voters of Kansas approved constitutional home rule for cities. Kansans forged their independence from the start, cherishing the ability to control their own destiny. In that 1960s election, Kansas citizens reaffirmed their freedom by making home rule a constitutional right. Home rule means local control, citizens in their own communities deciding what laws work best for their children and families. Home rule for cities remains a constitutional right worth protecting. Ernie Mosier took the helm as executive director of the League in 1960. He led the campaign for home rule.
There was a change in attitude that locally elected officials realized that they have authority locally to do what they need to do, and therefore they had a responsibility. They couldn't put the blame on the legislature for letting them not letting them do something, because they could do it.
From the smallest city to the largest, local government is the workhorse of democracy, the place where public servants strive every day to provide the basic services citizens need and the quality of life they expect. In the halls of the State House, League representatives carry the banner for cities, often reminding lawmakers that local government is not just another special interest group, but is in fact a partner in public service. Citizens depend on local government, and local government depends on the League of Kansas Municipalities. For a century, the League of Kansas Municipalities has helped those committed to public service do their jobs better by providing information, insight, expertise, and advocacy. That dedication will continue as long as the League exists, because for the League of Kansas Municipalities, public service is not just an ideal, it's been a way of life for 100 years.